A secret meeting was held a few weeks ago. We will now provide you the details with 3 key members of that meeting coming on record for the first time. Also on the show, Supreme Court decides to live stream its proceedings in key constitutional cases from next week. What does it mean? We'll have special guests on that too. But first, as always, it's time for the 9 headlines at 9 tonight. On the show, suspense over who will be the next Congress president continues to simmer. Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot meets Sonia Gandhi and hints that he could be ready to take up the post. Says he's ready to take up any job the party assigns him. UP government orders a survey of Waqf properties in the state just days after the RSS reaches out to Muslim public figures and holds talks to achieve communal harmony and reconciliation. Supreme Court pulls up the center for remaining a mute spectator to hate speech on TV channels. Says role of TV anchors is critical to ensure harmony. The Enforcement Directorate charge sheets former Bengal Minister Partho Chatterjee and his associate Arpita Mukherjee in the cash for jobs scam. Partho Chatterjee sent to judicial custody till the 5th of October. SIT files a charge sheet against activist Teesta Settlemart, retired DGP Sri Kumar, ex-IPS officer Sanjeev Bhatt for allegedly fabricating evidence in the Gujarat riots case. Teesta has been out on bail. Big twist in the Radia tapes probe. The CBI now tells the Supreme Court that no criminality was found in the intercepted conversations of corporate lobbyist Meera Radia. Russian President Vladimir Putin dangles the nuke threat yet again, says Moscow will respond using all means if their territorial integrity is threatened. This at a time when Ukraine has been claiming war gains. Over 200 people protest outside a Hindu temple in England's Smethwick. Protesters chant Allahu Akbar. Incident comes close on the heels of clashes that erupted in Leicester after an India-Pak cricket match. And comedian Raju Srivastav passes away at 58. The comedy king had been admitted to AIIMS on August 10th after suffering a heart attack. But right at the very top, the big breaking story at this moment, more twists and turns in who will be the Congress's next president. The suspense continues because Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot has come to Delhi, met with Sonia Gandhi, the Congress president, and is now flying to Kochi to meet Rahul Gandhi. That's right. Ashok Gehlot, center of all attention amidst growing speculation that he will file a nomination to contest as Congress president next week. I spoke, in fact, to Ashok Gehlot a short while ago on the phone. He told me his priority is to revive the Congress. I am not interested, he told me, in any post. I asked him whether he was ready to quit as Rajasthan Chief Minister to become the Congress president, and he said, I will do what my party needs. My party needs at the moment to strengthen the organization, thereby giving every indication that Ashok Gehlot is ready to become Congress president, but he will make one last appeal, we are told, to Rahul Gandhi to take over the job. Mr. Gandhi, remember, has been reluctant. Now, all of this will mean that if Ashok Gehlot does move to Delhi now as Congress president, as more and more people believe could well happen, what happens to the Rajasthan Chief Minister's post? Because there, remember, over the years, there's been a fight between the Gehlot and the Sachin Pilot camp. Will Mr. Pilot now take over if Mr. Gehlot moves to Delhi? That's the other big question that's blowing in the wind. Take a look at all that's happened in Kaun Banega Congress President.
मैं जहाँ भी रहूँ, एक पद पे, 2 पद पे, 3 पद पे, कहीं पे भी नहीं, तो मुझे एतराज़ नहीं होगा। मेरी इच्छा तो ये रहेगी, अगर मेरा बस चले, तो मैं कोई पद पे नहीं रहूँ अब। मैंने बहुत पद संभाल लिए। अब मैं मैदान में उतरूँ, राहुल गांधी के साथ दौरे करूँ, यात्रा करूँ, जनता का आह्वान करें हम लोग, देश भर के लोगों को आह्वान करके हम लोग सड़कों पे लावें और ये जो फासिस्टी लोग बैठे हुए हैं इनके खिलाफ में हम लोग मोर्चा खोलें, ये मेरी हार्दिक इच्छा तो ये है।
On Wednesday, Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot arrived in Delhi. The trip to Delhi from Jaipur came even as more state units poured out support for Rahul Gandhi. And Shashi Tharoor made it amply clear he was not pulling out of the contest. While Gehlot strongly hinted he was not averse to contesting for president, he also indicated he was not too keen to step down as chief minister. And that he was ready to balance two posts could have been his pitch when he met Sonia Gandhi at 10 Janpat.
आज अगर मान लो पार्टी के लोग चाहते हैं कि नहीं मेरी जरूरत है मुख्यमंत्री के रूप में, अध्यक्ष के रूप में, तो मैं मना नहीं कर सकता.
Gehlot's interest in holding on to the chair in Rajasthan could well widen the conflict with Sachin Pilot, who many consider the chief minister in waiting. Sachin Pilot flew into Kochi to join Rahul Gandhi for one stretch of the Bharat Jodo Yatra. His intentions were quite clear.
All state units have passed resolutions wanting Rahul ji to become Congress president, but ultimately the party has election scheduled. On 24th, the nominations will start. Let us wait and see what happens. But I think, like Mrs. Gandhi has also said many times in Udaipur, she said that the party is a strong organization if we have a democratic process, which is the only party in India where we have election process. So let's wait and see what happens. No matter what the outcome is, the party will come out stronger. That's what I believe.
But Gehlot appears adamant on keeping Rajasthan, and he too is heading to Kerala on Thursday for talks with Rahul.
कल वो कहते कि राज्य का मंत्री मैं खड़ा होना चाहता हूँ, तो वो हो सकता है, वो मंत्री भी रह सकता है और कांग्रेस अध्यक्ष भी बन सकता है.
If Gehlot has his way, it will go entirely against the party's one man, one post policy. And Gehlot being allowed to retain the CM's chair in Jaipur at Pilot's cost would also mean a much more divided Congress in Rajasthan. With Mausami Singh, Bureau Report, India Today.
Okay, let's turn from there to our top focus today, and an India Today exclusive. Because at a time when Hindu-Muslim relations are seen to be fraught, new issues cropping up every day, details are slowly emerging of a secret meeting that was held between the RSS Sarsangchalak Mohan Bhagwat and indeed 5 major public figures from the Muslim community, including former Chief Election Commissioner Dr. S.Y. Qureshi, Najib Jung, former Lieutenant Governor of Delhi, and Lieutenant General Zamiruddin Shah. Remember, the Supreme Court has been hearing petitions challenging the campus ban on hijab in Karnataka. That's led to lots of debate. Also, Hindus and Muslims involved in a court battle on worshipping rights at the Gyanvapi Mosque in Varanasi. That's been simmering for a while. Illegal madrasas being demolished in Assam, and now attempts being made to do a survey of madrasas in Uttar Pradesh that has raised the hackles of several people. Today, the UP government ordering a survey of all properties listed under the Waqf board. So amidst all of this, emerging is the details of Muslim public figures meeting RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat recently to discuss ways to restore trust and communal harmonies. 5 of them, as I said, Mr. Qureshi, Zamiruddin Shah, Delhi Lieutenant Governor, Najib Jung, journalist Shahid Siddiqui, among others, meeting the RSS Sarsangchalak.
Amid several instances of friction and the growing gap between the two religions with largest following in India, a unique dialogue for harmony. A group of prominent Muslim intellectuals met RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat recently. Former LG of Delhi Najib Jung, former Chief Election Commissioner of India S.Y. Qureshi, former Rajya Sabha MP Shahid Siddiqui, and former Aligarh Muslim University VC and former Vice Chief of Army Lieutenant General Zamiruddin Shah were part of the rare outreach mission. The meeting took place at RSS Delhi headquarters in Jhandewala. The dialogue aimed at Hindu-Muslim unity took up issues like Nupur Sharma's remark on Prophet and the Gyan Vapi Masjid face-off in Banaras.
हमारी बातचीत इस पे हुई कि हम जो पेचीदा हो जाते हैं मसले उन्हें कैसे कम पेचीदा करें और जो उलझ जाते हैं उनको सुलझाएं और जो उलझने से पहले उन्हें जो है निपटा लिया जाए। तो उसमें क्या होना चाहिए, क्योंकि देखिए जब माहौल अच्छा होता है, जब माहौल सकारात्मक होता है तो फिर बड़े से बड़ा मसला हल हो जाता है।
The interfaith talks involving the RSS could hold the key to communal harmony at a time when there are many flashpoints.
While this was perhaps the first of such meetings between the RSS chief as well as Muslim intellectuals, Mohan Bhagwat's statement that why look for a shivling under every mosque was in prominence in this particular meet. The question is, does the statement resonate with both the Hindu and the Muslim communities in India? With Ashok Banot and Aishwarya Paliwal, this is Milan Sharma for India Today.
And to find out what really happened in this meeting between Muslim public figures and the RSS Sarsang Chalak, I am joined by three of those who attended that meeting. Former Lieutenant General of Delhi, Rajdeep Sardesai, former Chief Election Commissioner of India, Dr. S.Y. Qureshi, and former Senior Army General. I am joined by the former AMU Vice Chancellor, General Zamiruddin Shah. I appreciate all three of you joining me on the show today. I want to ask you this, Rajdeep Sardesai, right away. At a time when Hindu-Muslim relations are fraught, issues like hijab, azan, the Gyan Vapi Mosque, now Madrasas, Waqf Board, what prompted you and the others to reach out to the Sarsang Chalak? What exactly was your desire? What were you hoping to achieve from this meeting?
Rajdeep, our desire is the same as any sensible, nation-loving Indian, that we should move ahead, there should be peace in the country, there should be, as we say, bhaichara between different communities, and it does not simply mean Hindus and Muslims, but Christians, Sikhs. We are a country that is on the threshold of movement ahead. It's a country surrounded by not so friendly nations. So the only way out is reconciliation, understanding each other. What we discovered was that the differences between us and Mr. Bhagwat were really very minimal. It's only a question of talking, removing the minor differences and moving along. And we found that he was most accommodating and accepting to our views, and therefore what we expected, we got more out of the meeting. We believe that we will be meeting, and we have started meeting others of the Muslim community as well as the Hindu community to draw up a chart of differences and then iron them out. We intend to hold nationwide meetings of like-minded and non-like-minded people so that we understand each other's point of view. I must say that Mr. Bhagwat has been most generous and very kind to accept that he should see us. We felt that the meeting was necessary, particularly after the incident of Ms. Nupur Sharma, when we felt that tempers were getting exacerbated. Now, you mentioned a number of other issues, and I think that all of them can be taken up one by one. There are questions asked by the Hindu side, there are questions asked by the Christian and the Muslim side. I see no reason why we can't sit together and iron out these differences. I think it's a must for the country. Somebody had to take the initiative, and so 3-4 of us got together and choose to meet Mr. Bhagwat. They are extremely critical. The Sangh is extremely critical in taking this along. Without the help of the Sangh, we don't think that we will move along. And we do believe that what Mr. Bhagwat has said in the last 2 years is a definite indication that the Sangh indeed also thinks on similar lines of reconciliation.
Interesting. What you're then saying is that you believe this is a potential start of a dialogue in a way between leaders of the Muslim community and indeed the RSS. I'll come back to the specifics in a moment, but Dr. Qureshi, listening to Najib Jung, there will be viewers out there, particularly from the Muslim community, who will say, are Najib Jung, Dr. Qureshi and General Zamiruddin Shah, for all their achievements, selling out to the Sangh by virtually taking Mr. Bhagwat at face value, even while ordinary Muslims who are less privileged will continue, according to them, to suffer from what they call as discrimination. So you will be seen as privileged Muslims talking to the Sangh leadership, getting an audience from them in a country where the BJP, for example, doesn't even have a single Muslim MP today out of the 300 plus.
Yeah. No, you are right. There are many Muslims who may disagree with our meeting, but you will be surprised to know that we have an overwhelming positive response from the community. That they said that you did the right thing. The dialogue is the only way forward. We must discuss, and we express the concern of the Muslim community. For instance, we say, look, every Muslim is called a Pakistani or a jihadi. It irritates. And they said that you call Hindus kafir, that irritates them. Now both these things, and Bhagwatji agreed that yes, it is wrong to call every Indian a jihadi or a Pakistani. And we also said that yes, it is very bad if kafir has become an objectionable and abusive word. We should stop it. So there was hardly any difference of opinion. He said and we said that we have to work together for India's progress and development, and there was a surprising unity of views, and there is hardly anything to which we can really find fault with.
But what about the active, sir? But what about the active social and political discrimination which the average Muslim claims he or she is facing? How do you, as I said, you are privileged Muslims. What about those who do not enjoy those privileges, who have to deal in a way on the ground with various forms of social and political discrimination?
Correct. Exactly the fact that he said that India cannot progress without the progress of all the communities, including Muslims and Christians and Sikhs. So I think that includes that. And in any case, this was our first meeting, and surprisingly a very constructive, very positive meeting. And we discussed, we said, look, that let this not be a one-off meeting, and we would like to continue the dialogue, and he totally agreed. We asked him to suggest 2-3 of his colleagues with whom we can keep in touch, because he himself is too busy and travels a lot, and he gave us 3-4 names, and all he said, look, you guys seem to have the right views, and you should widen your circle of friends and discuss the same subject, and so that there is an identity of views on both sides. I think it's a beginning, and in our next meeting we will surely take up the issues which are agitating the mind of the community, and I'm sure we'll have a very positive response.
General Shah, you've in the past raised your voice for what you fear is this discrimination that I just spoke about. You've even written a book about it, and this constant, the manner in which several Muslims are often called anti-national, or they believe certainly are consciously being targeted on the ground. Do you believe meetings like this can actually, in a way, change the reality that exists on the ground?
Yes, it certainly can. The reality on the ground is that most Muslims have to prove their loyalty. Now, this is something which I find is not necessary. We have served the country. I served for more than 40 years in the army. And some of my coursemates wanted me to prove my loyalty to my country. And I said, nothing doing. I've already done what I had to do, and I don't need to prove my loyalty every time. You talked about discrimination. I've mentioned it in my book, and I've said that discrimination is embedded in human nature. But who is being discriminated against? It is the less educated. And our stress has been to educate the underprivileged, and I have assured, in fact, it was always my endeavor in Aligarh Muslim University to convince the students that discrimination is against the less educated. If you get educated, nobody will have the guts to discriminate against you. After all, the employer is looking for the best man. And if you are taller than the others, you will get the job. So that is my view on discrimination. it is against the less educated.
But where does Najib Jung, this dialogue that you're saying, how does this dialogue get carried forward? Eventually, you need possibly political interlocutors. You know, those who claim to represent the community politically. For example, an Asad Owaisi tomorrow claims to represent a Muslim identity. Many believe that he too is in a way almost sort of trying to consolidate the Muslims on one side vis-a-vis Hindutva, where Hindutva forces are accused of playing Hindu vote bank politics. So in between these politicians who play their vote bank politics, where does a dialogue like this actually fit in to bridge the differences?
Rajdeep, you're putting the cart before the horse. This has been our first meeting and it's a very serious endeavor. We have not said that we will not involve the political class. We will involve the clerics, we may involve the politicians, we will involve people like you. Because this is a wide-ranging dialogue. The future of the country is with all of us. All of us are responsible. So we don't want to eliminate anybody. Mr. Owaisi can come and express his views to us. Why not? We may not accept his views. That's a different issue altogether. But our effort, and we believe that, look, let's understand one thing. India remains a secular country because 80% Indians are Hindus. A vast majority of my friends are Hindus. I've grown up with them. So let's understand that there is a large segment of the Hindu community out there that do not approve this kind of recrimination against, a constant recrimination against the minority communities. And we talk to all of them. So our endeavor is to encompass all views, both the extreme right and the extreme left and the middle center. We have no, shall I say, no bias. You can be from the so-called Khan Market gang, or you can be from Chandni Chowk. You are most welcome. We will go and talk to Jama Masjid. We will talk to Hyderabad. We will talk in Bangalore. We will talk to all communities. There is no embargo on this. I hope, as my friends do, that as we extend this dialogue, it will convert itself into a national secular movement for the unity and integrity of India. That's our effort. Now, will we fail? Who knows? Time will tell. But our effort is sincere. We believe that we have a huge support. Like Dr. Qureshi said, we've been getting phone calls from across the country today. A vast majority support us. There have been friends who say, no, don't take this path because X can't be trusted and Y can't be trusted. My view is that why would I distrust anyone without trying him out? I think that the Sangh is the largest organization in this country. I don't think...
Right.
Yes?
Yeah, go ahead. Please go ahead. Please complete.
No, I was saying that the Sangh is the largest organization in this country. They have a huge following, political as well as social, and therefore we wish to take them along. And we have had extremely encouraging meeting with the Sarsang Chalak. We think that he has given us hope. And he was extremely generous in his views, and he has invited us to extend this along with his colleagues.
You know, it's interesting that you're saying that he's reaching out, because in the last year, there have been statements that Mohan Bhagwat have made that have been encouraging. For example, where he spoke about the oneness of Hindus and Muslims, that they have a common ancestry. But at the same time, there are other Sangh hotheads who speak a very different language. Even previous Sarsang Chalaks, going back to M.S. Golwalkar, effectively saw in some of their writings and thoughts Muslims as second-class citizens. So who do we trust? The question is the trust deficit that many Muslims will argue doesn't exist with the RSS. So, Dr. Qureshi, how does one bridge that trust deficit? Whose views do we expect? Do you accept that of Mohan Bhagwat, who reaches out to you? Or let's say tomorrow leaders from within the wider Sangh Parivar, within the Bajrang Dal, those who, the Yati Narsinganands, those who speak the language of hate and of genocide, whose views are you going to take?
No, the fact that Mr. Bhagwat was very generous with his time and with his views, there is nothing which he said which would have offended us or would have frightened us. All he said that we have to work together for the development of the country. Without unity, we cannot move forward. So these are the right thing to say, and we were very happy.
No, but will he curb the hotheads within, sir? Sorry to intervene. Did he give you an assurance that he will curb the hotheads within this Sangh Parivar who speak a language of hate and division?
I was just coming to that. He said that you'll remember that I had made a statement telling the Hindus don't look for shivling under every mosque. I think that's a very powerful statement, and he repeated that to us. And what more, what a stronger statement can you expect? So he was very sure, and he says, I have been telling my community, and we are planning to tell the community that they do not say anything which injures the feelings of the others. We have to take them along. And he even defined, he says, the Hindu religion, Sanatan Dharma. He says it's all inclusive. Everyone worships God in different ways. And you guys are Muslims, you say your namaz, do your hajj, namaz, roza, zakat, everything. Absolutely no problem. Just don't call us kafir. I think that's a very small demand and very simple thing, and we accepted, and we said in return, don't call us Pakistani and jihadis. And as General Saab said, don't let us prove our loyalty and patriotism on a daily basis. So there was total agreement. I think he will have to explain to his community. He has a lot of following and he has a voice. We are ordinary people. We are not leaders. But we will try and enlarge our circle of like-minded people. And I think, as Najib was saying, that we will try and make it a wider movement.
You know, one of the challenges, General Shah, is to convince those within the Muslim community, you know, the clerics, the extremists who also use a language of hate and division. You know, tali do haath se bachti hai. The fact is, while you hope that the RSS reaches out to you in the manner they have, there will be questions also about the way the Muslim community also needs to, in their own way, do a reach out. Do you believe that will be an even bigger challenge, given all that has happened in recent times, to convince Muslims that, look, the RSS actually wants to find a new compact, a new way of communal harmony, of reconciliation, led by Mohan Bhagwat?
Yes, I think it is achievable. The main thing is there has to be equity. There has to be, all citizens are to be equal before law. That is something which will reassure the Muslim community that the government is fair. If that is not done, if that is not done by the police, if it's not done by the judiciary, I'm afraid it'll be very, very difficult to convince the community. But I'm certain, you know, as the last question which you put up to Dr. Qureshi was that will the hotheads follow Mr. Bhagwatji's diktat? He himself mentioned that there are hotheads in both communities, but everything in the country will be done according to the constitution. And that was pretty reassuring. If he says, he mentioned about the Dharam Sansad, everything will be done according to the Constitution of India. Anything that is virus to that will not be followed. That is assurance. And I'm certain that it will take some time, but with education towards which our efforts are directed, there will be a sea change in the attitude of the Muslim community towards what they perceive as discrimination in this country. Our efforts is to kickstart education.
So when, for example, there is talk of bulldozers being used, when there are clashes involving Gau Rakshaks, when there are those who say Desh mein rehna hoga, Jai Shri Ram kehna hoga, when you're telling me that Mr. Bhagwat made it very clear that all of this is outside the constitutional purview, that as far as he is concerned, every citizen, Hindu or Muslim, will be equal under the law. That's what you're saying. Am I correct?
Exactly. And we are certain that he's a man of influence. There are two people who are influential in the country. One is the Prime Minister and secondly is Bhagwatji. His words carry a lot of weight. And I am certain that if he convinces the large number of his cadres that the hotheads need to be silenced, they can be silenced. We are very, very sure of that.
You know, but there will be those, Rajdeep Jung, who are saying this is a very, you know, this is two tracks being followed. One, as I said, politically, the BJP and the Sangh Parivar is seen to have its own agenda. We've seen issues now like Gyan Vapi being raised, Madrasas being raised, Waqf Board being raised. So you keep the pot boiling at one level leading up to 2024, and at the other level you do this reach out to Muslims as Mr. Bhagwat has done. Do you see it that way, that there are two tracks and at some stage they will have to merge, that it's not enough to talk to Mohan Bhagwat, tomorrow you'll have to talk to Narendra Modi as well?
Of course, Rajdeep, there are two tracks because at the end of the day, 2024 is very close. And if polarization can bring them votes, then certainly that will be a track that will gain traction. Having said that, what choice do sensible people have but to take this course? I think we must talk also to the BJP, that winning an election at the cost of a country is not worth it. I read a quote many years ago that if democracy is the price of freedom, then India is overpaying. So let's understand that we need to talk to each other, we need love and affection. There will be many tracks. Why two tracks? There will be people with self-interest. And this is a very small, humble beginning by 3 or 4 people. Like General Saad said, we have no political backing. We are very humble people. We are trying our best for the love of this country. And I think that we should go a long way, even though 2024 is not far. Yes, indeed, I think we should meet the Prime Minister. We should express our point of view to him. And we will seek time. I do hope and pray he will give us time.
Let me leave it there because I think it's been fascinating just listening to the 3 of you. It is possible, of course, that there will be cynics, skeptics out there who will wonder whether these well-meaning efforts can actually reach fruition. But it is very clear in the times in which we live, there is only one way forward. Hindu-Muslim harmony, unity and reconciliation. That is what makes this country special. It's sheer pluralism, diversity and tolerance that must make India an exceptional country. And that's in a way, perhaps hopefully, what this exercise is all about. Rajdeep Jung, Dr. Qureshi and General Shah, for you to come and join me and explain what happened in that meeting in a way hopefully is a sign of the times. Openness, transparency is the way forward in these times. Thank you all very much for joining me here with that inside story. And while this effort and initiative is being made for communal harmony here in India, well, I'm afraid that communal discord being witnessed in the United Kingdom, because days after clashes were seen in the city of Leicester in United Kingdom, now reports coming out of communal strife between Hindu and Muslim groups in the town of Smethwick. What really happened here? Take a look.
The communal strife in UK is spreading. What started as a small tiff over India-Pakistan Asia Cup match is now threatening to overrun the delicate communal fabric of the country. The fire in Leicester spread to Smethwick. In the latest provocation, a mob of alleged Islamists were caught on camera menacingly marching near a Hindu temple in the Smethwick area, raising Allahu Akbar chants. The 200-strong mob also raised other Islamist slogans. While cops tried to restore order, a bottle was reportedly thrown at the Durga Bhavan Hindu Center. Many locals saw it as an intimidation tactic.
We're on Nelson Road right now. Stand up with the Hindu mobs, as you can see.
The incident comes in the wake of clashes between Hindu and Muslim groups in Leicester last weekend. That time, Islamic groups had burnt a saffron flag outside a Hindu temple. The incident led to dozens of arrests by UK police.
This is a statement of unity.
Joint appeals were made by Hindu and Muslim leaders for peace.
We, the family of Leicester, stand in front of you not only as Hindus and Muslims, but as brothers and sisters.
Are the incidents of communal strife irreparably damaging the British cultural fabric? With Lavina Tandon, Bureau Report, India Today.
Let's turn to our other special focus tonight, because in a landmark move, the Supreme Court has today said that Supreme Court hearings of all constitutional benches will be live streamed for the general public. This new initiative will start next week from the 27th of September. This was decided at a full court meeting led by Chief Justice of India, UU Lalit. Presiding judges were unanimous in their decision that live streaming of all constitutional cases must be done on a regular basis. This is a huge reform in a way that is coming from the Supreme Court of the country. What does it mean in a way for judicial scrutiny, transparency and independence? Joining me now are two of the country's fine judicial minds, joined by Justice Madan Lokur, former Supreme Court judge, and former Additional Solicitor General and Senior Advocate Indira Jaising. Appreciate both of you joining us. I want to come to first Indira Jaising, because you were a driving force behind this. You've been fighting for this for years. Live stream important cases. Are you satisfied with what has happened? Why do you believe this is such a major reform and step forward?
Rajdeep, it's been done primarily in the interest of litigants. When I was ASG, I had cases from as far off as the Lakshadweep, and I was always wondering, how do these people come all the way to Delhi to even know what's happening to their cases? So let's be very clear. The first and the primary stakeholder are the litigating public of this country. Secondly, of course, every single person has a right to know. The Supreme Court held so in the judgment delivered in the Indira Jaising versus Supreme Secretary General, filed in 2017, delivered in 2018. I guess COVID intervened, and that's why the actual decision to live stream has been delayed. But I heard today that the official announcement is now out for the public. So yes, I believe it's a major step in the direction of accountability, transparency, not only for the judiciary, but may I say for the lawyers as well.
Justice Lokur, your first comments. Do you believe this live streaming of constitutional cases is an idea whose time has come? Will it significantly enhance the public's right to know?
Yes, I think it's a great idea. And as far as I'm concerned, it should have come much earlier. I mean, the time had come a little earlier, but I'm glad it has come now. And I'm sure it's going to be of great benefit to everybody, lawyers, litigants, just about everybody. I would like to say
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry.
Please go ahead.
I would like to say that, there are some high courts that have already started live streaming quite some time back, during COVID times. I remember the Gujarat High Court had started live streaming. Orissa High Court, I know, has started live streaming. And now they have started live streaming in the district courts. I think there are 30 or 34 district courts where live streaming is going on, right? And that was inaugurated by the Chief Justice of India, Justice Lalit. So really, it's a culmination of all this that the Supreme Court has also decided to live stream the hearing of cases.
There are those, though, Justice Lokur, who point out what they believe is the negative side of it, that much like a live telecast of Parliament, live streaming of important cases could lead to grandstanding by lawyers. Possibly judges will be more careful, because today someone could take a 30-second edited excerpt of something the judge has said. It will go on WhatsApp, go on social media, create a controversy. Are these legitimate fears that perhaps this will, in a way, dilute some of the sanctity associated with the court?
I don't think so. I mean, you can cook up all kinds of fears, right? But that doesn't mean that they exist. Okay, now, taking a small clip from somewhere and using it out of context, that can be done even if there's no live streaming. Okay, now you have reporters in the court, who send updates and so on. Well, anybody can do it, things can be morphed. So really, I'm not worried about this at all. And, let me say that in the high courts where live streaming has been going on, there has been no complaint about this, so why should there be a complaint about this in the Supreme Court?
Indira Jaising, do you have any such fears at all that this could be misused in a way to either put pressure on judges or to create controversies at times over any statement now passed by a lawyer or a judge in court?
Well, first, let me answer the question you put to Justice Lokur. The Supreme Court has held in its judgment, the Supreme Court shall hold exclusive copyright over videos streamed online and archived with the registry, and reuse, capture, or editing or redistribution of streaming derivative works of the broadcast or video footage in any form shall not be permitted except maybe on terms and conditions notified with the court, by the court without written permission from the court. So any such thing will be liable to contempt of court. And I believe that the press is a responsible institution and they will not do it knowing fully well that there are sanctions to this. So I am not...
No, private individual can put it on WhatsApp, ma'am. Indira Jaising, what stops a private individual from putting it up on WhatsApp, sending it to groups across the country and thereby, in a way, pushing, some would argue, undermining the sanctity, as I said, of the court's proceedings?
Well, the concern that I have is the reverse, because as Justice Lokur pointed out, it's being done now. And one of the issues I mentioned in my letter asking for immediate live streaming was the existence of misinformation, which exists already. There is so much of fake news, there is so much of misinformation that the only way to correct that is to have an official channel of the Supreme Court of India. So I think the Supreme Court has shoulders broad enough to tolerate some amount of misconduct on the part of people, and there are ways and means of dealing with it. The more critical issue is there are stakeholders which go with, look, Rajdeep, let's face it, CAA is under consideration, marital rape is under consideration, restitution of conjugal rights is under consideration, reservations for Dalits and Christians is under consideration. Tell me one citizen of the country who will remain unaffected by the outcome of these cases. And do they not have the right to know what is going on in the court? Can they not debate these issues in a rational manner? I believe they can. And this is the reason for this decision that was taken.
The word you use is rational. I hope the debate will stay rational. But, Justice Lokur, what we are seeing, though, in the last couple of weeks, lots of changes coming in the listing system, ensuring that cases are now expeditiously dealt with by the Supreme Court. The backlog is slowly being reduced. It appears Justice Lalit, who has just 2 months as Chief Justice, is a man in a hurry. Is this a good sign? A sign that perhaps even the highest judiciary has realized the need for urgent reform?
Yes, I think it's a very good sign. And, I hope that the initiative that he has started, the momentum continues even after his retirement. There are thousands and thousands of cases pending in the Supreme Court. And, many of them are constitution bench cases which should have been heard many, many years ago. Right. So the time has come, for these cases to be heard. And, I'm very glad that Chief Justice Lalit has taken the initiative and he started hearing all these cases, listing all old cases, constitution bench cases, important cases, even otherwise. The momentum should continue. I hope it doesn't flag.
The momentum should continue. Indira Jaising, a final word as someone who's been a crusader calling for these reforms in the judiciary? Do you believe that this is going to be a false dawn, or do you actually see some hope, a ray of hope, that even the highest judiciary wants to change the way it's both perceived by the public as well as serious structural issues, including the large backlog in cases that Justice Lokur spoke of just now?
Yes, I think the judiciary is very aware of the fact that they need to restore the confidence of the ordinary person in this country, in the judiciary. We've had a bad run for some years. We all know that. But I think the Supreme Court's internal mechanisms have been activated, and what Justice Lalit has taught me is no one can ever say, I don't have enough time to do the other. Yes, 74 days, of which there are 50 working days, but something well begun, I'm sure will be continued by all the Chief Justices who come after him. Many constitutional courts of this world live stream their proceedings. So there is a wealth of knowledge internationally. Imagine, Rajdeep, you can be sitting in any corner of the world and you will know what's going on in the Supreme Court of India.
I think that's wonderful in a way. I am a great supporter of live streaming of judicial proceedings. The public's right to know above all else. Justice Lokur, Indira Jaising, I appreciate as always, two fine minds joining me here on the news today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's turn from there to another story that should interest every citizen out there. Get real India, because the monsoon may be drawing to a close in most parts of the country, but guess what? It's left its impact on a familiar story, pothole roads. That's right. From Bengaluru to Chennai to Mumbai, almost every city is now finding pothole roads to become a recurring nuisance. Even Kerala has been affected by it, and lives are being claimed in what we are calling Pothole Nation. Get real India.
Potholes that kill and maim. From Tamil Nadu to Karnataka to Jharkhand, civic apathy is a common curse suffered by cities across India. In the latest incident of negligence, a motorcyclist in Chennai fell into a deep pit dug for stormwater drainage. 33-year-old Vasudevan was reversing his bike but couldn't gauge the unevenly dug pit. The software engineer, a resident of Adambakkam, would consider himself lucky to escape with minor bruises. In Mumbai, the country's financial capital, potholes are not just a nuisance for commuters. This year, 154 people have died in road accidents, some of which were caused by potholes.
Most of these potholes have resulted in instantaneous deaths, where the two-wheelers have not been able to tell in terms of how deep these potholes are, that are most of the times filled with water. Once they go over this, their vehicles overturn, and a heavy vehicle coming behind them crushes them or goes over them almost instantly, killing them, like I mentioned earlier.
The BMC, the richest civic body of India, recently slapped a fine of 3,66,000 rupees on the Lal Bagh Cha Raja committee for creating 183 potholes during Ganeshotsav. Bengaluru, recently hit by heavy rain waterlogging, is also plagued by apathy. Angry citizens are blaming BBMP officials for the mess.
बहुत दिन से देख रहा है, बहुत एक्सीडेंट भी हुआ था इधर, काउंट भी नहीं रिस्पॉन्स देता है, मेरा सीएम भी अच्छा नहीं है, क्या भी नहीं कर रहा है, कभी ऐसा भी हो रहा है, क्या है, पूरा सभी लोग आते हैं गिर जाते हैं इधर, पूरा डेंट है.
13 people died in Bengaluru over the last 5 years due to potholes. Fed up by the neglect, citizens are taking up creative methods to register their protests. In Jharkhand, Congress MLA Deepika Pandey Singh sat down on a muddy road and bathed in its water, demanding the repair of National Highway 133.
अखबारों के माध्यम से हम लोगों को ये जानकारी हुई कि किसी कॉन्ट्रैक्टर को मिला है. इसका काम जल्द क्यों नहीं शुरू हो रहा. मैं इस गंगा जल में आज सुबह स्नान
In Kerala, a bride has taken the internet by storm after a video of her photo shoot at a pothole-filled road went viral. The woman was clad in a beautiful red sari and walked across the road with several potholes. Be it Jharkhand or Chennai, pothole menace is proving deadly for citizens. With Priyanka Rudrappa and Dave Kotak, Bureau Report, India Today.
Let's take a break at this point. When we return, we'll turn to our good news today story, a story that breaks stereotypes. I'll tell you more on the other side. You're watching the news today. News without the noise.
I noticed something new. You've started using a new body lotion.
Fun.
I'm so sorry for the delay. I was on another call. It just kept going on.
No, Papa. You have been a steam bath.
Steam bath? At home?
To do steam bath he takes.
Go to your homework.
It's 7:20 already. The kickoff's in 5 minutes. Get all the boys. We have the entire place to ourselves, man. Not working?
Of course it is. But I don't want you guys to be using this bathroom. So use the other one.
It's 7:20 already. The kickoff's in 5 minutes. Get all the boys. We have the entire place to ourselves, man. Not working?
Of course it is. But I don't want you guys to be using this bathroom. So use the other one.
The targeting of a Hindu temple in Leicester, a Hindu puja house, a Durga Bhavan, was targeted and surrounded by more than 200 people in Smithwick, in the Midlands. What's happening in the United Kingdom? Why are Hindus and their places of worship being targeted? Is this all about the fallout of a cricket match? Or is there something which is far more sinister? Join me, Gaurav Sawant, as I get to the latest on India First at 10 p.m. tonight, only on India Today.
Welcome back. Let's turn to tonight's good news today story. Now, there's been lots of controversy in recent times over the modernization of madrasas, the need to modernize madrasa education. Now, amidst all this, guess what? A number of students from madrasas who've gone on then to higher education, to coaching centers, have cracked the highly competitive NEET exams and will become medical doctors one day. It's a step forward, as Milan Sharma reports on a story that breaks stereotypes.
Madrasa are where Muslim children are taught about their religion. Many don't get regular schooling and are denied benefits of modern education. But a few venture beyond the four walls of the madrasa. These students, all madrasa educated, have qualified for NEET after taking entrance coaching. Hafiz Muhammad Ali Iqbal from Karnataka scored 680 out of 720 in the medical entrance exam.
ऐसा जो पहले सोचा जाता था कि मदरसे के बच्चे हैं कुछ कर नहीं पाएंगे या तो टेलर बन जाएंगे या कुछ छोटे-मोटे काम में ले लेंगे या खासकर आलिम के बाद इमाम बन जाते हैं लोग मगर आज तक कोई एक गाइड करने वाला एक अच्छा सा कोर्स प्रिपेयर नहीं करके उनको दिया नहीं गया
Another Karnataka-based student, Hafiz Mohammad Saifullah, was inspired by his brother, who is also an MBBS.
मेरे भैया भी अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह हाफिज़ कुरान थे जो अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह MBBS मुकम्मल कर चुके हैं तो उन्हीं को देखकर मैं भी डॉक्टर बनने का इरादा किया
ऐसा लगता था कि नहीं हो पाएगा.
This was Hafiz Ghulam Ahmed Zardi's first attempt at NEET. He talks about mastering both Deen and Dunya.
अब मेरे 646 मार्क्स है और कर्नाटक के टॉप कॉलेज में मुझे लग जाती है.
जैसे अगर आप नीट के लिए वहाँ पर जा रहे हैं तो
But why did they pick Madrasa over regular schools?
जो गैप हो जाता है बीच में तो उसमें प्रॉब्लम्स आती है बट मैं ये समझता हूँ कि जो कुरान शरीफ है ना वो अगर हिफ्ज़ करने के बाद इंसान का सीना खुल जाता है और उससे चीज़ें इजी लगने लग जाती है मगर मॉडर्न एजुकेशन में भी हेल्प होती है उससे बिकॉज ग्रास्पिंग पावर आपका बढ़ जाता है मैम. इसके लिए
मेरे पेरेंट्स चाहते थे कि मैं दोनों चीज़ों को लेकर आगे चलूँ तो मैंने हिफ्ज़ भी किया और मैंने नीट भी क्रैक किया तो इंशाल्लाह मैं डॉक्टर ही बनूंगा तो उस चीज़ पर खरा उतर रहा हूँ.
मैंने सोचा कि किसी तरह
At a time when a debate is raging on the need to revamp Madrasa curricula, the success of these students in NEET perhaps show the benefits of modernization.
As we talk of modernization of education in madrasas as well, there is no boundary for students who want to study and excel, whether or not those boundaries are made by religion. With Ajay Thakur, this is Milan Sharma for India Today.
Let me leave you though tonight with our image of the day, and it's a rather saddening one because the stand-up comedian who in a sense redefined comedy for a new India, Raju Srivastav, is no more. The popular comedian passed away at the age of 58. He had been struggling with a heart ever since he got a heart attack early in the month of August. He died at the All India Institute of Medical Sciences. He was 58, and right through his lives he brightened the lives of many others, brought smiles to many faces with his unique brand of comedy. I leave you with a snippet of the one and only Raju Srivastav. Om Shanti.
कोई कार्टूनिस्ट, कोई कवि या कोई स्टैंड अप कॉमेडियन लालू जी को टारगेट ज़रूर करता है क्योंकि इनकी बात आसानी तक से लोगों तक पहुंच जाती है और कैरेक्टर वही उठाते हैं जो बहुत मशहूर हों. एक बार ओबामा जी ने लालू जी से पूछा, ओबामा ने लालू से पूछा, मिस्टर लालू, कैन यू स्विम? तुम्हें स्विमिंग आता है? नहीं, हमें तो नहीं आता है. इट्स वेरी शेम, स्विमिंग तो कुत्ता भी कर लेता है. आपको आता है? यस, ऑफ कोर्स. तो आप में कुत्ते में क्या फर्क है? सारे नेताओं में जो मेरी जानकारी है सबसे ज़्यादा मेहनती लालू जी हैं हर तरह से, और 120 करोड़ हैं हम लोग. तो ये भी तारीफ की बात है. हर एक को ये नसीब नहीं है. एक बार इनसे कहा गया कि देश के सब नेताओं में सबसे ज़्यादा बच्चे आपके हैं. तो लालू जी बोले, इसका जिम्मेदार कांग्रेस है, इसके पीछे कांग्रेस का हाथ है. फैमिली प्लानिंग की प्लानिंग कांग्रेस लेके आई थी और उस ज़माने में हम विपक्ष में थे, तो उनकी हर योजना का विरोध करना हमारा धर्म था.
ताना दिर दिर दीम ताना
tadare dani tana na dir dir dim tana dim tana takitda 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 dim tana tanum tadare dani tadani dim tana tanum tanum tananum tadere na tadere na.
Traveling from different parts.
Armed with facts,
Looking at political back.
she takes the news by its horns.
Do you think the future of these students are not hampered?
Fierce, bold and direct, setting the tone for the biggest stories. From every corner and every angle. Expect nothing.